Hi, I'm Peter Tragos, host of the Lawyer You Know podcast and YouTube channel. The saying goes, everyone hates lawyers until you need one. Well, I'm here when you need one to answer your questions and give you insight that you didn't know you needed. Along with my partners, Pete Sardis, the professor, who has a finance and business background, and George Tragos, my dad, and the consigliere, a criminal defense giant, we can answer any questions you have. What's up, everybody? We are here very last minute, but I was getting so many messages on Twitter and Instagram about the most recent filing by Elaine for Amber Heard, asking for a mistrial based on juror number 15. We have a little bit more information. It's going to be a quick video tonight. I'm totally solo on this Friday night. We are going to answer as many questions as I can because I really want to answer a lot of your questions. If I miss your question tonight, you got to forgive me for it. Give me a little grace. Like I talk about, we have to give people all the time. It's going to happen tonight because I'm probably going to miss some questions that people ask. But I want to jump on. I want to talk about this additional supplemental filing Amber Heard filed, talk about what it means, talk about what her chances are, talk about whether or not I would have filed it or whether it's just hogwash and a Hail Mary. But basically, they have given us more information. The juror number 15 that was summoned and picked for the jury was not actually the juror that was supposed to be summoned. We have found out now that they at least have similar names or the same last name and live at the same address. But we don't know whether or not juror number 15 met all the qualifications to even be on the jury list. So that's something that's still to be determined, and we have to see if he actually even should have or could have been a juror in this jurisdiction. It seems like he lives there and he's of age, but is he a convicted felon? Did he lie on the jury questionnaire? Those are all questions that we still need answers to. Because if he lied on the questionnaire, he tried to get on this jury, he did everything he could to get on this jury so that he could make sure they ruled in favor of Johnny Depp, like I said, that changes things. If he could have easily been called, but he didn't, there was a mix-up, he shows up, he gets picked for the jury. Like we talked about in the last video, I don't think there's a great chance that they overturn this. But with this new information, this is at least something that could go either way. And I think that the judge needs to have a hearing, bring in the juror, and figure out what happened. Did the older gentleman not want to go? Did he do somebody a favor? Did he lie about his age? What happened, right? That's really what we need to know, and we need to bring in this juror to find that out. I think it is absolutely necessary at this point. They argue her due process rights were violated. She did not get a fair trial by a jury of her peers. Those are all legitimate arguments. I see people saying she needs to let it go. She shouldn't be filing this. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree. I think this is absolutely a legitimate filing and a legitimate gripe for Amber Heard and her team. If I was her lawyer, I absolutely would have filed it. And if they don't file it, it might even be malpractice. Because if you find out this information, you have to bring it to the court's attention. Now, is it the lawyer's fault or is it the clerk's fault or the court's fault? Because they say they rely on safeguards by the clerk's office and by the court to confirm the jury number, the social security number, the address, the date of birth. And I guess the judge or the court, the clerk, didn't do that. And they're right. They're right. That is a mistake. Amber Heard's team is correct. That is a mistake. That is wrong. That should not happen. However, this is not federal court. The lawyers were able to spend a lot of time with these jurors, asking them a lot of questions, getting to know these jurors, figuring out whether they'd be fair and impartial. And they both determined and agreed that juror number 15 was a good juror for this case. Neither side struck them. One of the other things, I can't speak to Fairfax County because I've never tried a case there, but every trial I have tried in federal and state court, when we are handed the jury questionnaire, their date of birth is on there. Their job or occupation is on there. Was this 77-year-old still working or were they retired? If they didn't look at his birth date, they saw the person sitting in the gallery. Do they look that similar? Or can you tell the difference between a 77-year-old and a 52-year-old? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But why would the age make a difference? Are they saying that juror number 15, the 52-year-old, was not a qualified juror, was not a fair juror? Because that's, I think, what this is really going to come down to. Due process is important. Technicalities are important. Legal rights are important. I would absolutely fight this tooth and nail if this happened to my client. However, if the appellate court asks the question, did this affect the outcome? Was this juror not a fair juror? Were they biased? Was this juror a plant? Was this juror part of a runaway jury? Because if all those answers are no, it did not affect the outcome, it did not affect the fundamental fairness to Amber Heard, her lawyers were okay with this juror, I think it's going to be very tough to throw this case out. Now, if this was a capital case, somebody was convicted of murder, is going to get the death penalty or go to prison for the rest of their life, maybe we put a little more scrutiny on it. But civil cases do not get the same scrutiny as criminal cases at times, especially by appellate courts. So when we talk about this now, it's a lot of money on the line. That's very true. But it's also a lot of resources to retry this case. And those are all things that the court balances as to whether or not this is reversible error. And they really need to retry this entire case. So it's going to be interesting how the court actually balances this, in my opinion. But this is absolutely a legitimate claim by Amber Heard's team. I know people don't like to hear that, but it is. Legally speaking, I'm just telling you, this would be issue number one for us. Because I actually said I think Johnny Depp's team tried a very clean case, did not give them a lot of opportunities for appeal. I think that the judge did a great job, and the evidence that she allowed in, the evidence she didn't allow in, I agreed with most of it. That's why they had to proffer a lot of evidence, especially they're talking about the therapist notes. I agree that should have stayed out. But this is issue number one, in my opinion. America's Most Wanted, right here. This is the top issue for appeal, in my opinion. Now, I still think they're going to lose, but I think it could go either way at this point. And I think if the judge said her due process rights were violated, we need a new trial, I wouldn't be able to pound the table saying I disagree. That was a horrible legal decision. That's terrible by the judge. She's screwing Johnny Depp. I don't think I would say that if they said this violated Amber Heard's due process rights. So not a great feeling for people that want to secure the judgment and have this thing move on. But it's possible. Again, thanks everybody for joining in. Hit that like button. Most of you are subscribers. I'm sure the loyal people that jump on here when I literally set this live 10 minutes ago. I'm on my phone outside of my house. Wi-Fi is not great. If I'm freezing, I apologize. But so many people ask me my thoughts. So many people asked me if I changed my mind. We broke a lot of this down in the video we already did on their initial motion for a mistrial, motion to throw the case out, dismiss the complaint. So we already talked about a lot of this, but I did want to come on and answer some questions, at least for a little while, give my breakdown of the new information, which a lot of you said on Twitter, we kind of called this, somebody living in the same house, similar names. I don't think that's enough if I was an appellate judge, unless, again, it was a convicted felon or somebody that forced their way onto the jury. If it's just a random dude that accidentally showed up and he ends up getting on the jury because both sides like him, in my opinion, they had their chance to strike him. They didn't. They felt like he was going to be a fair juror. We need to make sure those processes are correct and in order, and this doesn't happen again. But no due process rights were violated. This person, just as randomly as the 77-year-old could have been picked, the 52-year-old could have been picked, in my opinion. I don't know that it was confirmed father and son. I only read snippets of the whole thing. I didn't read the whole thing. I'm on vacation, but people were sending it to me, sending little snippets. A lot of it was redacted. But yeah, I just want to come on and say all that. So I'm going to get to questions here for about 10 minutes. And then a lot of the rewatch crew, put your questions in the comments and let me know. If you guys don't follow us on Twitter, Instagram, right here at Tragos Law, that's where I got a lot of this. That's why I'm here. The bat signal was put into the sky. I was summoned. So I want to jump on, hang out with some of my friends here, and get through this. Barb, will it be aired if there's another trial? Most likely, yes. I don't think anything that happened in this trial would create the chance that Judge A says, no, the second one's not going to be trial or aired. I really don't think so. Missed age because he was wearing a face mask. That's a good point, Barbara Clark. I don't know if he was one of the two that were wearing face masks the whole time, but that's a good point. Jim Riley, yes, I am a lawyer. Would Johnny have to go through it all again, or could he say, why bother, Gina? He could dismiss the complaint if he wants, I guess, if they say that. But I don't think he would. Same judge if retried. It could be, or it could be a different judge depending on how they transfer the cases. I would think for judicial economy, it'd be the same judge. That would be the quickest turnaround. She already knows the case. You don't want to have to put somebody else through all of this, learning this case, dealing with all these decisions. No, I don't think it's because of the GMA interview. Wonder what triggered someone on AH's team to look into his age. I agree. I'd want to know. Mercedes, will the judge question both sides about this juror in addition to the juror himself? If so, what might they ask? I think she's going to question the juror. And then once she questions the juror, usually what they'll say is, then both sides, do you have arguments now? So like after we listen to what the jury said, Johnny Depp's team, what do you argue? Why should this not be overturned or have a new trial? Amber Heard's team, why do you think her due process rights were violated? What happens if there's a new trial, but she gets extradited to Australia? My guess is they would probably have to continue the trial, but maybe they let her appear in an orange jumpsuit via Zoom and testify that way. They would probably continue the trial. But I think, again, at that point, Johnny Depp's going to be vindicated from this case. If she's in prison, like you're saying in Australia, I think that he can count that as a win as well. Yeah, Lauren asked the same question. It would continue this case most likely. That would probably be too prejudicial if she was sitting in prison testifying in this case. Marie San Diego, who would be responsible for all of the additional attorney's fees because that isn't their fault? Each side would bear their own expense because this would be a mistake by the court and by the clerk. They were supposed to confirm this stuff. They didn't. Now, the judge could put it on the lawyers and say, you guys should have known this. You guys really should have figured this out through voir dire and you didn't. But most likely each side would have to bear their own attorney's fees and costs. Yeah, Janice Floria, the alternates, we can't get their opinion at this point. It's already been done. Yeah, Jennifer, I'm just giving all sorts of hypotheticals. I don't know that that's the case either, that he couldn't legally be a juror, but that's their best chance to win. Thank you so much, Gina. Good morning from Australia. Shantico, if they do have to retry the case, can they use the testimony given in the trial as impeachment material in a new case? Absolutely. That's why sometimes trying a case a second time can be very difficult, but it can also be, you have so much information. So the more prepared you are, the even better trial you can have and the better job you can do in cross-examining witnesses, because now you have even more statements, less surprises. So the more prepared lawyer will usually do better. Where would they find a jury now? That is a great question, Lori. I think it would be even harder. And would the jury be sequestered? Mandy saying she's learned so much through this case. Bodie, does Amber really want her name drugged through the mud again? Mo, I still don't understand why this wasn't noticed or brought up in voir dire. So honestly, I feel I don't usually, as you guys know, like being like, oh, that would never happen to me. I would never let this happen. I'm way better than these lawyers. I feel like I would have noticed this. I would have been like, it says you were born in 1945. Is that correct? Again, it's not ageism. We're not striking him because of his age. I'm just confirming that. Or I would tell the judge maybe and say, Judge, can you just confirm this guy looks a lot younger than 77? Let's just confirm it. Could have found out at that point. And then again, are you retired? Are you widowed? Things like that are more common for a 77-year-old than a 52-year-old. You usually ask those kinds of questions, and that's usually on the questionnaire. Where are you employed? Have you ever been involved in this, that, and the other? So I feel like there would have been a lot of indications, not just what the person looked like. Thank you, Jody. Any chance Hur's lawyers noticed early, but let this happen to enable a potential mistrial, setting up a loophole in the case that didn't go their way? I think we would have heard about it sooner, number one, if this was true. Number two, if this was found out, it would be very bad for them. So I don't think it'd be worth it. I really don't think they knew. If they knew, I think bringing it up in the middle of the case or near the end of the case for a mistrial would have been better. JB, thank you. Evelyn, absolutely. Both sides had strikes, struck jurors, were able to ask a million questions to these jurors, and they both agreed that 15 was one of the best people for the job. Suki Bayan, thank you. And just so people are, keeping up, my guess would still be no new trial and that this would be denied. I'm just saying there is a chance. There is a chance. Can they bring in new evidence? If there's a new trial, yes. Not in the appeal, they can't. Azam, somebody just said, is Azam in the house? She is. Good morning from Malaysia. Late join, going to rewatch later. How do they know it's a wrong juror? Is this going to be televised like before? I don't know if this is going to be televised like before, but they apparently know that it is a different juror with a similar or same name, same last name, and a different date of birth, same address, and showed up and shouldn't have. He was not summoned, and then he ends up on the jury. It's crazy that this stuff happens in America, but it does. What would disqualify the juror, Grant? Yeah, if he's a convicted felon, if he lied on the questionnaire, or if somehow the other 77-year-old is the one that answered all the questions on the questionnaire, and then juror number 15 that came, the 50-something-year-old, affirmed all of that, that would all be problematic. Do we know when they'll make a decision? No, not yet. Marie San Diego, so since they have to pay again, can their attorneys sue the court for attorney's fees? This seems incredibly unfair. I agree. Incredibly unfair, but no, I mean, criminal case, we go to trial, we lose, we win on appeal, we have to try the case again, the client's got to pay again. I mean, that's the same thing in civil cases. Can this juror get in trouble? Only if he did anything wrong, purposely wrong or grossly negligent. Bodie, again, that's a good question. We're going to need to know from the juror. What did he know? What did he do? What was in his state of mind? Why did he do what he did? What was his motive? That's all going to be important. And that's why I do think this judge, just like in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, should hold a hearing and ask this juror questions. Now, we'll see if this juror also pleads the fifth and lawyers up, which would be surprising to me because I think this was just a total mistake by this juror, would be my guess. Azam, thanks for the super sticker. Jim, I've been a lawyer a little over 9 years. Yeah, Sierra, it's hard to know how long we've known about this. IR Whaley, thank you for doing this. Peter, last minute, Peter, I tagged you on Twitter at LRW Creations and so appreciate your matter-of-fact explanations. Yes, I saw that LRW, and you were one of the many that tagged me and asked me about this. That's why I want to come on. It's just easier to answer all of you like this than tweet back individually. John O'Rourke, Azam is the coolest. I agree with you there. Kit Kat, 10 hours babysitting shift, 3 a.m. And I weirdly made it to a live. Hello. I think DJ MJ, I think we saw your post. We have Mark Hawaii, and what DJ MJ is talking about, if you go to the community page, we have subscribers from all 50 states in America And I think it's 40 or 50 countries as well. And we're continuing to update that. So go on the community page, tell us where you're from. It's been fun. Is increased harshness of sentencing potential for perjury only able to affect sentencing in criminal case or civil too? Just criminal, because the jury made the decision here on the punishment or the damages. The judge sentences, and the judge can take into consideration the perjury. So, Cindy, it seems like it was not a typo. It's a loaded bull. That was the real juror, made a typo. It seems like it was not a typo. It was just a mistake. Basically, the jury summons came with the dad's name. The son got it, thought it was him, probably hung his head and showed up to court and ended up getting picked for the jury. Mo, I must hear from the juror. If he had a job, it's hard to think that he would have missed work for barely any pay if he knew it wasn't supposed to be him. I agree, Mo, and that's another great point. Tori, can Johnny just say, I got what I wanted, I'm not suing again? Well, he'd have to dismiss his complaint. And as horrible as this sounds, if she has filed any proposal for settlement, or if he does dismiss the complaint, she could file a motion for attorney's fees and costs and technically argue that she was successful and she won. That has actually happened in cases. I've seen somebody who came out on top where the defendant kind of went away, so they dismissed the complaint. And the defendant, which was Dirty Pool, comes back and says, oh, he dismissed the complaint, so I technically won, and the prevailing party can get attorney's fees. So they have to be careful doing something like that. There have to be some kind of a release. Azam, thanks, John O'Rourke. You too. Steph Morris, thank you for the super sticker. Rich, Judge Penny can say whatever, no malice, no ill intent. Yeah, and no prejudice, right? And that her rights weren't actually violated. This isn't actually one of the reasons why she lost. They can absolutely do that. Hi from Sarasota, Florida. Will there be a retrial? Miriam said, I don't think so, but it's possible. Nova Scotia, that's cool. Hi from New Zealand. John O'Rourke with an interesting question. Does this make the Virginia court look horrible? It is embarrassing. It is very embarrassing. I'll tell you, it's never happened in any of my cases that I know of, right? I mean, I guess that I know of or that I've noticed. So it's never happened here before. I'm sure it's happened other places, but it is very embarrassing. It does make them look bad, but hopefully they'll get it corrected and it won't happen again. Alberta, Canada, upstate New York, Virginia, all in the house here. Do you ever age out of jury duty, Melanie Casio? Not in this jurisdiction, but if you call and tell them I'm 85, I have trouble, walking, or I have round the clock nurse care, I'm in a nursing home, that's a legitimate reason they'll just excuse you. So age can help you get excused. Hi from St. Pete. Awesome. Indiana. Jensen Beach. Yeah, Emma Kate. A new trial doesn't mean Amber Heard wins. Hi from the Bay Area. All right, 2 or 3 more minutes here, and then I'm going to bounce. Lexington, Kentucky, Texas, Boston. Get some lobster. You're wicked smart. Yes, Kit Kat. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're here. Orlando, Florida. I am just near you now. Hi from Reno. Hit the like if you're listening. They all saw it. Jury, why now? It's Amber throwing a tantrum, Laura says. See, now somebody, the comments are going so fast. Somebody said, oh, there's no way this should be a trial or a mistrial just because of some incorrect information. We got to have rules. We got to have fundamental rights. We got to have due process. So I disagree with you there, but we'll see if it rose to that level. North Carolina in the house. Steph Morris just got here. Do you think AH will get a mistrial? I don't, but I think this is her best shot. And I think this could go either way. And I think the judge should bring the juror in for more information. Maryland, North Dakota, Indiana. A lot of people just here. Ireland, a lot of Floridians. Ruby says she thinks Johnny would still go through with the second trial. Nidzia, they are trying everything they can, but this is legit. I mean, this is a legit argument. Would the second trial be shorter? It could be longer, Grant. Could go either way. They could have more information. Wendy Lavin. Hi, love all the videos. Love your style from Australia. Thank you so much, Wendy. Depp seems to be doing okay, Joe. He's kind of living his life at this point. So Jacqueline B. A lot of lawyers came on, said they could have won if they did this, did that. Now she has a chance of winning. I disagree with you because her testimony's already there in black and white. They can impeach her. They already have so much and potentially more with more pictures and videos from the elevator. You know, I think it would actually be harder for her. All right. We are going to call it there for a shorter live. Thank you all for jumping in here, jumping on this random last minute live with me. Was very fun. Hit the like button on your way out. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're almost at 10K on Instagram. That's the next thing I kind of want to hit. That would be fun. So tell your friends, give us a follow on Instagram, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't already. Check out the membership link in the video description. You all are awesome. This was a lot of fun. Until next time, don't miss me too much.